Hello everyone, today I'm here to do my March and April wrap up. So I've decided to combine a couple months into our wrap up because I don't read too much. So I read 5 books in March and I read 5 books in April. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book I read in March is What Alice Forgot by Lady Renegade, and I have a review of this book I will leave right here as well as down below. I will leave all links to book reviews I've done in this video down below so you can check them out. This is an adult book. Literally the title says what it is. It's about a woman named Alice who loses her memory, more specifically 10 years of her life memory. So when she wakes up, she thinks she's 29 still, and she's married and she's pregnant, but what's really going on, she's actually 39, she has 3 kids, and she's getting a divorce. So the whole book's her trying to piece together what happened, why she's getting divorced, like what's going on. It was a very good book. It was very funny. It's a light book with a little bit of depth. I really liked it. I will say this is my favorite Lady Renegade book I've read, so I gave it a 4 out of 5. I definitely would recommend it for the spring and summer months. You know, Alice is such a great character. The writing's awesome. There's a tiny bit of mystery, but it was still a very fun book. The next book I read in March should come as no surprise to anyone, and that is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This was amazing, amazing, amazing. This has been my favorite book of the year so far, hands down. This is the first book in her new series called The Dark Artifices. We have a whole new cast of characters. It follows Emma and Julian, 2 new Shadowhunters. Of course, our favorite characters are interweaved through this novel, so I highly recommend, if you have not yet read The Infernal Devices or The Mortal Instruments, do not read it. If you're not planning to read either of those series, I say go into this one, but if you are interested in reading those 2 series, you should definitely read them before this one. I know it's a lot of prep work to get to it, but trust me, it'll be worth it because you'll be spoiled on so many things, you know, characters and love interests and all that kind of jazz. Like I said, this book was so amazing. I flew through it even though it's insanely huge. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. I also have a review on it if you want to check it out, to go for it. The next book or ebook I read was the short story collections called Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy. And yes, I read this after Lady Midnight. Yes, I know I shouldn't have. It's a huge ordeal, you know. Should you read this or should you not before Lady Midnight? I read it after, and I don't really think it affected me that much. Like, I don't feel like you absolutely 100% need to read this or in Lady Midnight. I think there's a couple things, you know, that were interesting after I'd read Lady Midnight going on to this book. I was like, oh, I wish I would have read it before Lady Midnight, but I don't say it's necessary. It's the 10 short stories, I think. I want to say it's all about pretty much Simon and him going to the Shadowhunter Academy, and of course there are certain other short stories that have different characters in it. I like the majority of it. Some short stories were like, a lot of short stories were pretty good. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, you don't absolutely need to read it before Lady Midnight. It wouldn't hurt, but if you don't read it, it's not a big deal. It's Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. I also have a review on this book. This is a very unique book. It's a fantasy book, and it's like kind of like 1001 Nights, meet kind of Western. Isn't that very interesting? It's all about this girl named Bonnie who was like the best sharpshooter in her like town called Dustwalk, which is a very country kind of town, and she's just trying to get out of there because nothing good ever comes from there. So she meets this boy named Jin. Oh, they finally escape the town. Sorry about the sun. The sun does weird things. Ugh. So they finally escape the town and they go on this huge adventure, and it's definitely an adventure novel. It was really fun. It was a very fun fantasy adventure. I liked it a lot. I learned a lot, you know, about kind of the Arabian, like it had a lot of Arabian influence with like the Djinn and their magic and mystique and stuff like that. I know I'm probably pronouncing all of that wrong, and I apologize, but I thought it was a very fun novel, and I liked it a lot. I gave it a 4 out of 5. There were a couple things I didn't enjoy about it. I felt like sometimes things would happen too fast. Overall, I still really liked it a lot. The last book I read in March is A Love That Split the World by Emily Henry, and I really didn't enjoy this one. I have this book as well as the next 2 books I'm about to show you all in a mashup review, so but I thought about all of them in a little bit more detail. Definitely check it out. Here comes the sun. I really didn't like this book. This is like a fantasy time travel insta-love type of book, if I could describe it. It's about this girl named Natalie who she has visions of this woman called she has this woman called Grandmother, quintessentially a ghost almost, that visits her every night and tells her stories. And then one day the grandmother, that's what she calls her, tells her that she has like 3 months to save this boy, and she disappears, and then she meets the boy. It has one of the worst cases of insta-love that I ever read, and I read a lot of insta-love books, and this one was one of the worst I've read. Like, I was like, this is a little bit too much. And this book just had so many things in it. Like, I felt like it was just trying to do so many different things. The ending was very chaotic, very confusing. It was so full of info dump where she just tried to throw all this information on you, and I felt like very down with it. Like I felt very clustered, I felt suffocated with all this knowledge. I was like, this is too much. So I really didn't enjoy this book. I don't go more detail because I've talked about it a lot. Sick of me saying it. I'm sick of saying that I didn't like this book because I don't want to dwell on it any longer. But I gave it a 2 out of 5. It just wasn't that great. Moving on to April. I also read 5 books and I also reread 1 book. Does that count as 6? You tell me. You do the math. I don't know what is right in this scenario. The first book I read in April is 1+1 by Jojo Moyes. This is my second Jojo Moyes book. Hey, it's a lot lighter than Me Before You, so if you're really hesitant to go into more Jojo Moyes books because Me Before You wrecked you and you're like, I can't read another book like that, this is definitely lighter but still a little depth. It's about a woman named Jess who has 2 kids. One of her kids has this great opportunity to go to this private school and she has to go to this math tournament literally across the country, and so boss almost, because she cleans house for him, take them a ride. It's all about in that car ride and about falling in love and about family. This is such a great book about family. I feel like, you know, family is very predominant in this book and I really love that. I really like this one. Like I said, it wasn't as intense as Me Before You. So just know that, you know, not all of her books I think are going to shatter you in a million pieces like Me Before You did. But I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was very fun with a little bit of depth, and the family and love were just great in it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I liked it. I didn't like love it, if that makes sense. Then I read Lady Renegade by Rachel Hawkins. This is the 3rd and final book in the Rebel Book trilogy. Another book that I did not like. There's only been 2 or 3 books I read this year that I just really have not enjoyed, and I think 2 of them I featured on this video. Just didn't like this one. Rebel Belle, I love that book. I thought it was awesome. It's all about this girl named Harper who, you know, by a chance of fate becomes a paladin and she has to protect her arch nemesis named David, and it's so funny and witty and like Buffy. I always say that, but that's what it makes me think of. But I really enjoyed the first book. Then the second book, Miss Ma'am, came out and I didn't really like that one. I felt like it was almost like a novella, like that's what it could have been. Not a lot happened, and it really made me lessen my love for this. And then this one came out and I was just kind of hesitant because it's very, very short, like 250 pages. I'm like, that's little for a final book. Oh, I didn't really enjoy this one. A lot of my favorite characters weren't really in this one, like they were just not in it. I just felt like it was kind of, you know, the ending was predictable. I just don't know. I just didn't really like it. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. It was better than Miss Mayhem, but not by much. I'm sorry. I hate doing bad reviews. I mean, it's just not fun talking about books you don't like. It's not fun, but that's the reality of reading books. It happens. It happens. The next book I read is When We Collided by Emery Lord. This was my first YA contemporary book I've read this year. Like, can you believe it? I can't believe it. Like, wow, I'm usually like giving me all of the contemporaries now, so I've been really doing good at stepping out of my comfort zone this year, so patting myself on the back. Is that cliche? Probably. Like this book, this is about 2 characters named Jonah and Phoebe. We're getting dual perspectives, and they both have a lot going on in their life. Phoebe's dealing with a mental illness, which I won't tell you about, so you can find out in the book, and Jonah's dealing with the loss of his father and taking care of his younger siblings. Both have a lot going on in their lives, you know, a lot of sadness and stuff like that, and then they meet, and it's a whirlwind of a summer romance. But I really like this book. This is definitely a very fun, like, contemporary with a little depth. It's got a little bit more depth to it than most of your contemporaries. A lot of contemporaries I read are usually light and fluffy, and that's the way I like them. I read contemporaries, I just want to have a good time. And I still had a good time with When We Collided, but I like the depth it provided. I really liked it a lot. So I have a review on this if you want to check out more in detail, but I really liked it. This is my favorite Emery Lord book that I've read so far. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The next book I read is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't know why I haven't read this sooner. That's all I'm going to say. This is a unique book. Like, all of Maggie Stiefvater's books are so unique. Her writing is just the most interesting writing I've ever read by a YA author. It's all about 2 characters, again, dual perspectives, and it's all about this island called Thisbe. And on this island, every year they have the Scorpio races, which is where water horses come out of the water, and they're just kind of evil horses, and they just want to be with the sea. And so these riders will essentially catch these horses and try to train them for the Scorpio races. And a lot of death happens in the Scorpio races, a lot of just really insane things. And it was such an interesting book. I mean, does that not freaking intrigue you or what? Like, water horses and racing on them and death? Like, This book was so interesting, that it's just so intriguing and so more about like the myths and the water horses and the island, how you're stuck in this island time, and it was just awesome. I loved it so very much. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was just awesome, and I have now read all of Maggie Stiefvater's books, so yay! So this is where I'm kind of cheating here. I mean, I don't know. By the time this goes up, I will have finished this book because I am kind of filming this before April ends, like 2 or 3 days beforehand. I'm sorry, you know, scheduling, life, that stuff. But I will, by the time this will be up, I will have finished this. That is 100% for sure. And that is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 4th and final book in the Raven cycle. One of my favorite series, quartets, I don't know what you call it, ever. Like, this is, again, such an interesting concept of a novel. If you don't know what the Raven Boys is, or the Raven cycle is about, it takes place in Henrietta, Virginia, which is the state I live in, which is pretty cool, and it's all about Slay Line and about this guy named Gansey and his friends. They're trying to find a king underground, King Glendower, and they're trying to wake him to be granted a favor, and it ties in this character named Blue, who lives in a family of psychics, and it just is so interesting. That's all I can really say about it because it just gets so much more complex after that. I'm about like 3/4 through it. I can guarantee you I'm probably going to get a 5 stars. I don't know. Future me will edit the star rating right here. It's probably 5. But so far, I'm really loving it. I'm like trying to take my time with it because I know how it's going to end, I think, and I just don't want the end to come here. So, but I just pick up the series. I've done a review of Raven Boys where I talk about it in depth. I tried to read it once, put it down, just didn't really like it, and then I tried to read it again, and the first 100 pages are a bear, but watch my review if you want to know more about it, how to get over that hump, and just more about the series, because you will be missing out if you haven't read this series. It's so unique, so unlike anything I've ever read before, and I loved it. So it's cheating, but I'm putting it in here because I know I'll be done with it. So the book that I reread this month is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and I actually listened to this via audio, and I've never listened to Harry Potter on audiobook. I don't know why, I just haven't. I've read the books countless times over and over again, but I've made it a goal like for the past 30 years on this channel to reread them again, because before BookTube, I didn't really know a lot about books, so I would just reread all my favorites. So I'd read Harry Potter a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that, but since then I haven't really revisited it, and that makes me sad. So I've been wanting to revisit it. So a couple years ago I read the first 3 books physically, and then I was like, I think I'm going to listen to the rest in audio, and I'm so glad I did. The audiobooks are so amazing. So I've read the books countless times, I've watched the movies, but listening to them on audio is a whole new venture for me. I feel like I'm rereading it. I'm reading it for the first time. I'm revisiting things. And the author, Jim Dale, does such a great job. I just love it so much. I was so immersed in it. And I will be doing a video very soon about rereading this and watching the movie and what I thought about it more in detail. But, I mean, 5 out of 5, of course. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Like, oh, I loved it. I love revisiting everything about it. I highly recommend listening to the audiobooks. I will listen to the rest of the series this year on audiobooks. So I'm pretty excited about it. Don't know why I'm doing that. Anyway, that was my March and April wrap up. I hope this video wasn't too long because I talked about like 11 books on it, but if you read any of these books, please let's talk about it down below. Which one is your favorite? Which one is your least favorite? Do we have the same feelings about a certain book or not same feelings? Please let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.